for joining us. This is True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019. Yes, we're live from Makurdi. I am Ngozi Alebu.
My name is Solomon Opave, and we'd like to thank you very much for joining us for this very great occasion tonight. I'd like to, before we go ahead, I'd like to invite the Executive Director, True Talk Benue in Nigeria. I'd like to welcome Morgan Zaya for 2 minutes remarks. And of course, he is going to be handing over the questions to us before we go any further. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Morgan Zaya, please.
Yes, you're free to clap at this point. Thank you very much.
Or please, you may. For now, we can allow you to be one of the governorship candidates. Yes. Use one of the mics and go ahead and make your remarks quickly and hand over the questions, and then we're done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Benue True Talk.
Speak into the mic, please, so we can hear you. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Benue True Talk Gubernatorial Debate 2019. I'm the Executive Director of True Talk Debate Nigeria. We'd like to welcome you to this great occasion, historic occasion for Benue, because it's the first of its kind. We'd like to pass a message, just a message. Debates only add a little flesh to the process, to the electoral process. But in no distant time, we'll see debates being part of making the mega or the bigger part of the electoral process in Nigeria. So we'd like to tell the candidates that by 2023, you should always avail yourselves for gubernatorial debates or presidential debates as you progress in your endeavors. I have the questions here. They are all sealed, and I'll be presenting it to the moderators. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you very much. Having said that, Ngozi, I'd like to let the people know that this is the first time we're seeing these questions. I can collect on behalf of her.
Yes,
I'm the man here now.
Go ahead.
They say ladies first after the men.
You can
so
say that
I share
again.
this open. I hope Nii is capturing this on television.
Yes.
We'd like to open these questions.
Do you need my help?
I may at some point.
Okay.
Except.
All right, I can grab the envelope for you.
Yeah, you do that.
Great.
That's very interesting. So these are the questions. Rules of engagements are here. You hold that
Yes.
part. I don't know which part that is. So this, I think.
Okay, what I have here, definitely part of the questions for tonight, the candidates tonight.
Good. Now we have the True Talk Debate 2019 Rules of Engagement. I hope the cameras can cap this, and this is what we have, and we have just received this.
And just in case the cameras are not able to capture the rules of engagement, let me just clarify. Number one, there will be no cheering. Of course, that has to do with the live audience here in the hall. There will be no clapping, no jeering, and would like to plead with you to make sure that all phones are either switched off or put on silent mode. Thank you very much.
I think these are very simple rules to be understood by anyone. So please, if you want to continue to participate in this debate, we want to beg of you to follow the rules as simple as they are. I think at this point in time, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will introduce the candidates. And when we do, we're going to take the national anthem and then continue.
Absolutely.
With the program problem.
Yes, indeed.
Very well. Nii is over to you. Back to the debate. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us wherever you're watching us in Nigeria or outside of this country. Now we're going to, as I told you earlier, my name is Solomon Opave, and I'm privileged to be here with
Ngozi Alebu.
Very well.
Ngozi Alebu one more time.
Very well.
Yes.
Now we'd like to introduce the candidates now to step up to the podium. I think you'd like to begin, Ngozi, by introducing the first candidate.
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Emmanuel Jime of the APC. That's candidate of the APC. Please step to the podium. Thank you very much.
Emmanuel Jime of the APC, please join us on the podium. Thank you very kindly.
And in no particular order, would like to invite Frederick Kian of the PRP. We're still waiting for the APC candidate, Emmanuel Jime.
All right, we still have with us here Stephen Akuma, NCP candidate. Stephen Akuma, NCP candidate, please can you join us on the podium, please? All right, last but not the least is John Seya of ABGA. John Seya is the governorship candidate of ABGA. Please join us on the podium. Thank you very kindly.
And while we await the other candidates, let's remind our live audience here of the ground rules. There will be no cheering, no jeering, no clapping, and no sound whatsoever in the course of the debate. We appreciate your cooperation. Thank you very much.
And I also like to let everyone who is here know that all candidates that are participating in this election were invited, and the ones that have been that are here this evening are that of the APC, the PRP, NCP, and ABGA. All candidates have been invited. These are the ones that turned up tonight.
And let's confirm for you, yes, indeed, they have turned up. Though you see two gentlemen here on the podium, the candidate of the PRP and that of ABGA, the APC and NCP will join them very, very, very shortly. As a matter of fact, yes, the candidate of the NCP is already making his way to the podium. Thank you very much. And we're expecting the candidate of the APC, who is already in the hall. You'll see him shortly. The candidate of the APC, Emmanuel Jime.
Very well. I think for the sake of time or the lack of it, we can begin the program by starting with the national anthem, and then I'm sure the candidate of the APC will join us in the course of the program. And so please, we're all going to rise up and sing the national anthem, all of us together. Please, let's rise up, Nigeria, and sing the national anthem, please. Of the APC, Mr. Emmanuel Jime, that just joined us now. Thank you very kindly. Ngozi, you like to start up with a discussion very quickly?
Yes, indeed. Our question tonight will focus on three key areas as to do with security, the economy, and education. So, gentlemen, you're going to be responding to questions that have just been sent to us. It's the first time we're seeing these questions, and it tells you that these are the questions that are burning in the hearts and minds of Nigerians, especially the people of Benue State.
And we just have to let you know that each candidate has 2 minutes to answer a question. If we ask you, you have 2 minutes. When you're done, the next candidate, in that order. You don't exceed your time. We have a timer already before us, and you are also having the opportunity to be looking at a timer to know when your time is going up, so you can know how to round off very quickly on that. Very well, so.
All right, in no particular order, really, but I'm going to start with the candidate of the APC, Mr. Emmanuel Jime. Now, Benue State is adjudged to be blessed with rich agricultural and abundant mineral resources. That's a given. Everybody knows that, unless, of course, they live in a cave. Now, statistics show that 70% of Benue State population is engaged in agricultural sector. However, a vast majority of the Benue population still lives below the poverty line. How do you explain this? Why do you think Benue finds itself a state that is too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich, with such vast agricultural potential?
Well, thank you very much. First, let me express profound gratitude to the True Benue Talk Group for the opportunity they've given us to have this conversation with our fellow citizens of Benue, and to say that for me, this is the most momentous occasion, and we're truly grateful for the opportunity. The point about agriculture and the fact that it is indeed the mainstay, or should be the mainstay of economy of Benue State, is very well documented. We're not called the food basket of the nation for nothing. But the reality of the moment is that it is an empty basket. And the fact of the matter is that this has to do with the fact that over the long haul, we haven't had the sort of clear leadership that has identified what needs to be done in order for our agriculture to take its rightful place as far as economic activities are concerned. I believe that what we need to do is to first engage in legal and institutional reforms in order for us to get the agencies of government that have responsibility to deliver on our agriculture to be able to do exactly that. I remember when we were growing up as kids, we had agencies like Benta, the Benue Tractor Hire Agency, and then of course Banada, which were agencies that were put in place by past administrations to guarantee the development of agriculture. At the moment, all of those agencies are lying comatose. They haven't been given the necessary leadership that needs to be in place for those agencies to be able, you know,
All right, Honorable Emmanuel Jume, your time is up. I'd like to now go on to the candidate of the ABGA, John Seyo. How would you respond to the same question?
Well, thank you very much. At the moment, we've departed from where we started in terms of agricultural development. The late Aperiku had, for instance, land development schemes, and government was deliberately involved in agriculture. We've allowed our farmers today to suffer. In the 21st century, we are still in a primitive method of farming. And so we need to have a rethink, go back to the basics, provide tractors for these people to do their farming, provide adequate input for them. When we do this, definitely we're going to boost agriculture. There's no gainsaying. Agriculture is a money spinner, and I dare to say, and I would like anybody to challenge me, that Benue remains the richest state in Nigeria, and it is because of agriculture. So, an ABGA government, what we will do is to have a deliberate input in agriculture, assist farmers, get directly involved with them, go back to these land development sites, provide necessary implements, and try to move them from primitive methods of farming to mechanized farming. And of course, make use of remote sensing, agriculture, irrigation, and all of that to be able to determine when and how we should farm. We should be able to farm all year round. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. The candidate of the NCP, agriculture contributes only 10% to the GDP of Benue State. What are you going to do to change that narrative in such a way that agriculture really will drive the economy?
Thank you very much. Well, there's no clear defined chain between the various the food chain from the peasant farmer to the processing plant. There's no clear link between that. Most of our farmers are into peasant farming, and there's a need to move them from peasantry to mechanized farming. And there's also need to provide improved seedlings for them, because most of the times they go to farm and try to process their crops, but they end up not getting the necessary yields because they don't have the improved seedlings. And apart from that, we don't have middlemen. So there's no clear link between that peasant farmer and the processing plant. Since we don't have middlemen, even government, sometimes even they have policies that will help the peasant farmers. It will not reach them at appropriate time. Apart from that, we need to have technology that will link the peasant farmer and the mechanized farmer. A link between the hoe and the tractor. we need to also understand that we need to have agro-based industries so that when people are farming, they will understand that they will have a company that will come and buy these crops. So this is quite important for us to move forward. And there also needs to be sincerity on the part of government. If you're providing affordable fertilizer, who and who are you giving that to? As NCP, we are saying that the first thing we're going to do with the first 6 months is to collect data, personal biometric data, from all citizens and residents, that include the farmers. So we know which and who is a farmer, and we can adequately budget and adequately plan for the farmers. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the candidate of the PRP, that is Distinguished Honorable Frederick Ika. When you talk about farming, most graduates look at it as something that is not for them. How do you want to make this a relevant point for the Benue graduate to see agriculture as something to get involved?
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to begin by referring to what is called vision. A vision is a mental picture of what one wants to do. That vision translates to a mission. A mission is a practical demonstration of that mental picture of what one wants to have. So first of all, we need to determine what do we want. We need to develop a vision. Benue is called the food basket, but what is our vision of this food basket? Like one of my brothers said, Apereku, when he was governor, did practical agriculture. I remember as little children, Banada staff used to go to the farms, go to the local communities, and taught farmers how to plant, how to weed, how to apply fertilizer so as to achieve maximum results. Even as little children, that was where we started learning about farming. Apart from the cultural methods and approaches, Banada provided an improved understanding of farming. I want to believe that as a government, if we have a very clear vision of what agriculture is, we'll be able to achieve this. And I want to say that farming is a glorious job. I asked one of the students, what does your parents do? Say, they do nothing, only farming. It means that farming has lost its relevance and its glory. So for us as a government, it will be first of all to restore the dignity of farming so as to de-emphasize other businesses that appear to overshadow or to overwhelm this basic foundation of human existence.
I would still like to stay with you, the candidate of the PRP. When you say that it's to have a vision and to make it more attractive, the question is, how would you make agriculture more attractive to the youth in Benue?
Okay, thank you.
The how is what we want to...
okay, the how is also available.
Yes.
First of all, farming is a noble profession. Because it's a noble profession, we need to first of all lay down foundations or certain rules. Farming can be taught in school. After all, we have a University of Agriculture. Farming can be taught in school. When I went to secondary school, we did agriculture. And there we were taught how to handle seeds, how to plant, the relevance of these issues of crop rotation and all of this. This education has been lost. We have lost our knowledge of the application of farm seedlings, of planting, and of utilizing natural opportunities like rain, sun, and all that goes with it. So it is our own desire as a government, as a party, the PRP, to first of all restore the dignity of farming. Government can therefore enter into farming. Government can also own a farm and demonstrate the commitment to farming that all of us will need to learn from.
Very well. Now let's go to the candidate of the NCP. How would you respond to the same issue that has been raised by Ngozi?
Well, we have to understand that we are blessed to have the Federal University of Agriculture.
Remember, we're
here.
talking about the how.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We also have a College of Education at Yande. And we have a lot of people graduating for this. But first, we have to look at the impression they have when they graduate. Most times, people run to white-collar job because of the stigma attached to people farming and all that. But what we are looking at is that we are going to own farms like what is done in KB, where we are going to employ people to work, not necessarily at the farm like the laborer or the tractor handler, but also we are looking on how their extension workers can also add to the quality of the agricultural scheme we are planning to put in place.
Very well. Now, I'm sure you still like to hear from the APGA.
Absolutely.
The how, you've told us about agriculture, how
Yeah.
beautiful it is. But the how, the 1, 2, 3 of how this is going to happen in your government.
Well, Solomon and Ngozi, you see, if you want someone to engage in an enterprise, show him or her the beauty of it. Agriculture is a money spinner. And I'll give you a few statistics. In the year 2000, the US said Nigeria could generate at least $4 billion from exporting cassava. In 2017, China alone bought from the United States $12.3 billion worth of soybean. Now, the youth wants to hear that, oh, he's able to make dollars. And so you support him, you tell him, you show him that, look, you are going to make money from this and you are better off owning your own farm. And then for us, when they know that the government is going to buy this farm produce off them, they know that they already have an off-taker. And so for us, we will institute an agri-produce market board that will buy the produce of them. So there's a ready market for them.
Very well, thank you. Now, APC, you would like to let us know, in the same vein, how, ABC, how are you going to use agriculture to enrich Benue State?
So at the moment, what we're doing in Benue State is subsistence farming. Obviously, that isn't attractive because it does not show that farming can be a business. The way to go is to commercialize agriculture and to ensure that young people take farming as a business. Of course, government will have a role to play in order for there to be enablement, so people can have startups and there is the possibility of partnerships. And that is the reason why in an APC government we've decided we are going to establish what I call a bureau of public-private partnership. That, I think, is a key driver in the way that we're going to enable not only commercial agriculture, but indeed all other forms of businesses that the young ones are interested to get involved with.
Very well.
Right, thank you very much. Remain with you, candidate of the APC. Let's go even further into the economy, how you plan to turn the economy around. Among the youth, there's a 75% rate of unemployment. And that, for Benue State, is really bad for a state that has all the potential to actually be among the top 5 richest states in Nigeria. So how would you create jobs for the teeming population of the unemployed youth in the state and address the problem of poverty? Because there is a nexus between youth unemployment, poverty, and of course insecurity.
And I totally agree. The fact of the matter is that, so at the moment, there is this popular saying that governments create jobs. I come from the school of thought that actually believes that the private sector creates jobs. What government does is to enable the environment so the private sector can drive the economy. I think that is what we should be doing as a government, to create that environment, to enable it, so the private sector can do and create the jobs that young people can be excited about. And agriculture is still going to play a proper and important component in the manner in which, as a pact, we're delivering on the Benue economy. Don't forget, and let me remind us, agriculture is the mainstay of the Benue economy, and the ways to go is to enable it. Government does not create jobs, the private sector does.
All right, now let me look at the candidate of the APGA. The same question that Ngozi asked, but let's look at it from this dimension. It's a popular saying that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And most of the problems we complain about in Benue, youth restiveness and all of that, is as a result of lack of things to do. How do you intend to handle unemployment in Benue?
Well, you see, in the past, Benue has had industries that are at the moment moribund. And the quickest way to restart the economy, to rejig the economy, to get the economy working, is to go back to those moribund industries. I give you an example. You have Tarako Mills, you have Benko Roofing Tiles, you have Beragbon Fishing Farms. So go back to this immediately. They will take you less money to put in there and get the economy working. And then, even if you go into private partnership, you insist that those private investors protect your own youth, your own workforce by...
Other administrations before you have tried it, and it's been going around the same circles. So what are you going to do different to bring these things to light?
The willpower. You need to have the willpower. Other administrations have tried what? When last did you hear that Taraku Mills worked? When last did you hear that the Baragbom Fishing Farm, the Kogan Cattle Ranch, the Equa Resorts, the Benue Breweries, all of these? So if you bring in the private sector, and as I was saying, and you give jobs to the youth, you say, look, private investor, I create the enabling environment for you, but you must respect local content. Say 60% mid-management level down the ladder, you must have 60% or 70% of Benue indigents. Top management level, 10 to 15%, you must have local content. You've employed people immediately. You spark up the economy. And as that goes on, and you make money from things like agriculture, you can put them back in the economy and then start bringing in new ideas. Government is a continuum, and you must not necessarily start a new project where you can continue with the old one. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, candidate of the ABGA. Now to the candidate of the NCP. Youth unemployment, 75% unemployment among youth in Benue State, according to the figures out there. What formula or what strategy would you put in place if you become governor to change the narrative as far as youth unemployment is concerned, attract private sector like the candidate of ABGA has said? What are the things, what are the incentives that you put in place for the private sector to actually latch on?
Well, we have to define the economy we want to run. Is it socialism or capitalism? As NCP, we run socialism, but I will do a little fusion of capitalism. And that involves, we on our part, we find ways of employing people, but on the other side, we look at trying to get investors through a PPP arrangement. And that takes us back to agriculture, which is our cardinal base of what we intend to do. Because with agriculture and the various food chain is well defined, from the peasant farmer or the mechanized farmer to the processing plant, then we can have people actually doing one or two jobs, knowing that there will be a processing plant that will come back to them, because we have abundant resources and farmland, as you've said, but we have to also create an environment that the private sector can come in. One of it is through tax waiver and provision of land. The other of which is to actually engage young Benue people out there that wish to invest in the state. We have to look at these things in this way to create jobs. But from the ICT, we want to build an ICT-backed job center through data collection. Through that, we can adequately know who and who doesn't have a job and how to provide that adequately. But as I have said, we are going to see on how we create jobs through farm opportunity like what is done in KB, but we also are going to look at the private sector through a PPP arrangement that will enable them to come. We have a lot of people that want to come and invest in the state. Those in Benue is saturated, Aba is saturated, Lagos is saturated, and they want to come here. And we are looking at also exploring the coal in Wupa to power an industrial zone we intend to create there. That will create that industries for people to come in. That will create that enabling environment, for people to come in and invest in the state.
Thank you very much, NCP. Finally, on this point, before we go on a short break, Frederick Khan, let's take a look at it. We're talking about, me and Ngozi, we're talking about 73% of unemployment. That's a large number. How do you want to, within 4 years of administration, get these people engaged?
Okay, thank you very much. The others have beautifully captured it. I want to simply add that we live in a globalized world, meaning therefore that we have access to great opportunities that lie beyond us. The issue of partnership, as the rest have said. And I hear too that there are a number of people out there in the Western world that are willing to come give us support in order to develop ourselves and provide employment to all, to one and all. I therefore want to take advantage of those potentials that lie outside there apart from local initiative. The issue of providing employment to our youths is simply one that touches on the vision that we have, developing the human being, providing prosperity to everyone. But I must add that it is not possible to finish all in 4 years. We can only lay a firm, solid foundation that will develop from there. For instance, if what our founding fathers laid before we are sustained will not be where we are today, if the vision of Aperico, for instance, he established Berebum over there and the cattle ranch in Ikogan, it means that he had a desire, you know, to enter into maybe cattle breeding or something. If that vision were sustained, today we will not be talking about unemployment, the rate at which it is. So I would like the other person said, go back to that vision, dust it up, provide opportunity to Westerners who are willing to do business with us, help us. Taraku Mills was not established locally. Westerners had a hand in it. Benue Cement was the same. Several other such companies will still extend this invitation and give opportunity to many out there. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. You're watching True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019. In another couple of days, people of Benue will be going to the polls to decide who will govern them for the next 4 years. We'll take a short break at this time, and when we come back, we'll be looking at other issues that concern the people of Benue State. Stay
Don't
with
go
us.
away, stay right here with us. Right, thank you for staying with us on TVC and wherever you're watching all over the world. We're holding the True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019, and we have the candidates of the ABC, ABGA, NCP, and PRP. Before we went on break, we were talking about the issue of agriculture and unemployment.
Yes,
right now, we
indeed.
want to take a look at the issue of security. Now, I want to start with the candidate of the APC, Emmanuel Jume. Let's look at Benue State is associated with some uncomplimentary indices in terms of security. For example, a study published by Nigeria Watch identified Benue State as third most unsafe state in Nigeria. And in 2009, NAPTIP rated Benue State as the #1 state in North Central Zone in human trafficking. By 2015, Benue State also became the state with the highest number of displaced persons after the Northeast. And by January 2019, the State Emergency Management Agency, BESEMA, announced that 483,699 persons were displaced in the state as a result of the recent Fulani herdsmen attacks that began on January 1, 2018. If elected into the office as the executive governor of Benue State, what would your government do to handle the insecurity situation in Benue State, precisely the Fulani herder clashes?
So I identify two platforms where we've got security breaches. The first, obviously, is that which I've referred to, the herdsmen, Fulani, and farmers crisis. I also believe there is what I call internal security breaches. So there are two issues really we're dealing with. As far as the crises are concerned, I believe that the Benue State government has put in place a law that, when properly implemented, can guarantee some form of security. I think the challenge that I personally have, and I believe quite a number of persons have with the law, is the manner in which it has been implemented, because we have politicized it instead of advance what I argue is the economic imperative that is embedded in the law. I would rather...
When you say politicize, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, by politicize, I'm referring, to the fact that we have had this crisis over the long haul. It didn't actually start in 2018, to be honest. I mean, it has outdated most of us. This crisis has been here. Previous administrations have dealt with it in their own ways. Never has it been elevated to the form that it has been done now. And it was done so mostly as from 2018, when we're a few months away from the next round of elections. As a politician, I'm more inclined to think that the current administration decided there was a free gift available to it, seeing that there was nothing else to run elections on. Therefore, this crisis became a birthday gift, and it has been used in that manner. That is my prognosis. Like I said, there are other indices also that I'm looking at as far as insecurity is concerned, the internal breaches. As we all know today, if you go to Okum and Chitili, the crisis that has been there, where brothers are at
All
each
right,
other's
thank you
neck.
very much, Mr. Jime, the candidate of the APC. Let me bring in the candidate of ABGA, John Seayo. Have you been able to diagnose exactly what is behind the herdsmen-farmers clashes in such a way that it will give you the strategy to solve the problem? Because you have to know the source or the cause of the problem to have the solution.
Yeah, well, for me, first and foremost, I think it's a deliberate plan to encroach on the Benue land because of its fertility. And so we need to nip that in the bud. Secondly, we need to understand that there are no grazing routes in Benue State. There is no gazetted grazing route in Benue State. So any grazing in Benue State to start with is illegal. There is a law in place, very beautiful, but there is an issue with the implementation. We have not set up things to check the implementation. Yes, we have a law, but if you say anti-grazing and then you have not made provision for ranches or places where these animals could be housed, then there is a problem with that. So go back, visit Ikogen Cattle Ranch. Then we have internal crisis amongst us, the Benue people. So set up for us, we are saying we'll have a community-based policing so that we police ourselves, and this will be...
Is that going to be different from what we have at the national level, the Nigerian Police Force?
The Nigerian Police Force carries arms. The community-based policing does not carry arms. It is amongst us, the people, and headed by a group of persons. You can give it to the people you call the village heads. Those village heads know who and who to hold if your goat gets missing or your cock gets missing, not the ABGA logo anyway, gets missing. And so, if you give security back to the people, and then you will be able to monitor. And in addition to that, for us, we intend to set...
All right, thank you very much. Your time is up. We're going to come back to you as other issues arise. But because there's another aspect of this I want the NCP candidate to look at. The crisis usually causes a lot of upheavals and displacements of loads of people. And that affects education because most of the people are staying in schools where children should be going to school. So that means those that are displaced are not in school, and those that should be attending those schools are not in schools. So what are you going to do about this to address the situation?
First, for them to go to school, then there must be relative peace. And the Fulani or thief crisis, people look at it in different perspectives. Some look at it as a form of there's desert encroachment in the core northern states and people are coming in, while others look at it as a completion of the 1804 to 1809 Usman Dan Fodio jihad.
Yeah, but how do you see it? How do you, what's your perspective?
As for me, I feel since we have refused to practice true federalism and I don't have state policing, I will rather develop an artificial fourth tier of government headed by traditional rulers. And in this artificial fourth tier of government will mandate them to set up vigilante among their men that will liaise with the divisional police officers of that area. We will also give them adequate funding from the security board to police their area because people have to live and have to have life. So we'll do that. Outside that, we will also implement technology through the use of drones at incident areas to checkmate the advancement of herdsmen. But I, as a person, I think I will continue to agitate for state policing because we have to protect our people.
All right, thank you very much, candidate of the NCP there. Added to this problem of herdsmen-farmers clashes is the problem of the challenge of cultism. It's been on the rise in recent times, and it's a social vice that's been affecting the youth in their numbers. So how do you intend to bring cultism to an end, or better still, to the barest minimum? Candidate of the PRP.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, local initiative may find relevance at this very point, since our state police or federal police or whatever other security apparatus have not been able to satisfy the yearnings of the people. So I want to advocate for local initiative. Long before police, our societies were protected by what we call the vigilante. It appears to me that this local initiative has the capacity to address security issues now much more than before. I remember in the villages in those days, people could leave their crops on their farms or park their bicycle by the roadside, go out and come back for days and meet them there. There were instances where even money picked on the road, public roads, were brought to certain compounds and handed over to local chiefs or head of the compound to identify the owners. So I think that this local initiative has the potentials to help us now much more. So the vigilante and the traditional rulers, if they are put together and charged with the responsibility of providing security, I want to believe they will do better than what the police and other agencies are doing today.
All right, let me give you an opportunity to speak to the issue of herdsmen farmers clashes. The other gentlemen have talked about the anti-open grazing law. I wonder if you would want to strengthen the anti-open grazing law, or do you think it's something that you should discard, since it's been criticized as being at the root of continued herders farmers clashes?
Okay, thank
And
you. Well,
you have exactly
yeah.
1
minute, please. to
okay,
respond.
enduring
Thank you.
solutions may not necessarily be approved by all. The law is a good law. I want to believe that we have an opportunity to look at the issue of grazing in our land. Like someone said, our land is simply beautiful. The grass here is beautiful. Why can't we also take up raising cows so that we have us, and there is no place for external cows. Whoever wants to invade the land, already there are cows here, so you
Will
have
that not be discriminatory?
No, it is not discrimination. We're only doing our business in order to sustain ourselves. Whosoever wants to do business for himself can find other
And
markets
that's to
as
say
well.
that guests are not welcome to Benue.
No, it's only in the issue of raising cows I'm talking about.
So any other trade can continue.
Certainly.
Very well.
Ikeogen cattle ranches, they are available for cows to be raised.
Let's go to the candidate of the NCP, and exactly 1 minute. Can you expatiate a little bit on the issue of security and herder farmer clashes?
Well, just as I've said, the law, there's a people's law on ground. That is a people's law. The civil society, religious leaders march on the streets, and they wanted that law to be, and the State House of Assembly passed into law. It's a people's law. It's not my law, so I have to accept that. The only problem is the implementation. You have to be fair in implementing it to ensure that everybody is carried along, whether
Because
Fulani,
I don't
whether
understand what
Thief.
it means by fair. What's
Fair
the
in the sense
definition of
that
fair?
there are provisions for ranching. We have the Ikeogen ranch. We have other people can also establish ranchings. We have rich people here. Mostly these cattle we have are owned by rich people. They are not owned by the poor. So for the poor, we advise them to form cooperatives so that they have a central place for them to ranch their cattle.
Well, it's all right.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about a more sustainable way. Every now and again, just 2 days ago, you had herdsmen attack in Way West. A sustainable strategy that will actually bring this to an end. And the candidate of the NCP talked about funding of this strategy. I wonder how you're going to, fund that. But let me bring it to you.
Oh, well, a more sustainable way is first,
In 1 minute, please.
strengthen the law, establish ranches. You still make money from those ranches because they will come to lease those ranches and put their cattle there. Like I said, there are no grazing routes in Benue gazetted. So if you came into Benue to do that, then it is illegal. So strengthen that. Then the community-based policing, working with the Nigerian police force, you equip them communication gadgets. The farmers, you put the farmers, the hunters, and their dogs. You give the dogs. The dogs are the first point of raising an alarm. So when they are intruders, you know. But you equip them, you give them funding, and you pay them for what they are doing.
Benue don't seem to have enough money on its hands. to even
Benue has enough money. The Abga government is going to go into an agricultural revolution. And I tell you, by the end of 2019...
All right, thank you very much.
Your time is up.
Yes.
We interrupted in his words, the candidate of the APC, but you now have 1 minute to wrap it up.
Yes,
if you will.
Well, so what am I discussing?
You're looking at how to handle this issue of insecurity effectively once and for all, and let Benue people put it behind them.
Well, as everybody has said, the problem we've had with the anti-open grazing law, it's perhaps in its implementation. I have advocated that we need to argue the economic imperative of that law. And if you make everybody understand that animal husbandry is the new business that can be done by everyone and anywhere, there will be a buy-in. You need to implement a law that can be enforced. I mean, you need to put a law in place that can be enforced.
Are you saying the anti-open grazing law right now is not effective?
Well, you have to go into our villages. What I see at the moment is that it is actually the human beings that are being ranched. The cattle are still all over the place.
The word. Are you saying it is ineffective?
It is ineffective.
Remember, audience, no clapping, no cheering,
yes.
please. Thank you very much.
Let's keep to our rules of engagement. No cheering, no clapping, no cheering for anyone.
Yes,
now,
please. Well,
his time is up.
Time is up,
there's
actually.
another aspect to this, Ngozi, that is very important. Security usually will lead to education.
Absolutely.
And we want to look at the issue of education fully now. Let's begin. I think we can stay with the
candidate of the APC. Yes.
Recall that at least 40% of persons of ages 20 to 69 years lack educational attainment in the state, and that's undocumented. It is also on record that school teachers have in the past had to go without salaries for several months in the state, while schools have also shut down for nearly an entire academic session, leaving children and teachers stranded. For a state like Benue, which has experienced violent conflict annually since the past decade, school children in public institutions have frequently been compelled to vacate their classrooms, as we said earlier. The question is, if you're made the governor of Benue State, if the people choose you today, what steps are you going to take to address education in Benue?
Part of the APC manifesto is to ensure that every Benue child has access to education. And one of the things that we intend to put in place at the primary school level at least is to ensure that it's proper free education for every Benue child. At the moment, it is free education to some extent, but in name. There are levies that are being paid along the way that have made it nonsense. It was this idea of free education. So I believe that an APC government will ensure that infrastructure is in place. That's where to start. I mean, all of us, personally, I had the privilege of going to a public school. None of us here now will want to see any of their children go to the kind of public schools that we have now. And that's very sad, because over 80% of the Benue populace is not able to send their children to private schools. So I think the reform that needs to start is really from the cradle. And once we do that, I believe that going forward, education will actually take its pride of place.
All right. Well, you still have 1 minute actually to make your point. If you want to
utilize the 1 minute,
it. Otherwise, I move on to the candidate of APGA.
Well, so let me then add and to say now very honestly that I was privileged to be part and parcel of the government that established the Benue State University. I was Speaker of the House when that happened. That is because we recognize that education is one of the greatest tools that you can use for the development of our people.
The fundamental issue here has been the issue of payment of staff salaries. And when you don't pay teachers, they don't go to class. No matter how free you make the education, how do you handle that?
Well, so payment of staff salaries and indeed all salaries of civil servants is one that can be approached from 3 different prongs. The first is, one, we need to block the leakages that we have in government at this time. And that is why I have made a commitment to the Benue people. We will introduce the tools that are available. The TSA.
All right. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, time is up, and we have to. We're still going to come back to you. Definitely, we'll give you a minute. Now, to the candidate of APGA, in 2018 alone, the government of Benue State was forced to shut down over 2,000 secondary schools and an additional 19 higher institutions, owing to what the state government termed as, lowering quality of education. Do you think this is a solution to the education problem? Or if you think it's not, what would be your strategy to revive education in Benue?
A laborer deserves his or her wages, and if you want the best out of a people, then treat them as human beings. You're talking about lowering standards of education being the reason for shutdown. Have you paid those people? If you pay them as and when due, then you get the best from them. Because then you even have the moral standing to penalize them when they go foul of what the standard should be. In addition, the Ministry of Education has the responsibility to go around and check standards of education. So
what in specific terms would you do? And how would you fund
I will ensure
this payment of teacher salaries and all that?
Well, I will ensure that the teachers are paid. Look, the funds that come to Benue are adequate. They are adequate. First, do we know our true wage bill? So that's where we start from. Know the true wage bill of the state. And then, like the candidate of the APC said, block the existing leakages. Then from the funds you're going to generate from IGR, from agriculture, plow them into education, because that's our mainstay outside agriculture, and pay those people. If you want to get the best out of people, treat them as kings.
Because we've heard issues of external interferences.
Yes.
When it comes to utilizing Benue funds. You think you're going to escape that?
External
Interferences.
from who? I'm the executive
I'm
governor
not
of
a
Benue
politician,
State.
I don't know
and
about that.
I'm the executive governor of Benue State, and I'm answerable to the people and not to any external influence.
Oh, very well. Then let's go to the candidate of the NCP. What do you have to say for yourself as far as education is concerned?
25% of the security vote will be extracted and put into education for budget. But like I said earlier, we need to know who is a student. And we can't do this because we are running on a phantom data. We have to collect data of every citizen in this, or every indigene in this state, whether resident or indigene. It's through that data we can adequately plan. But more so, we have to also go away from the cosmetic development that have been going on. We have to focus on, yes, people have to go to school, but how about the quality of education? How about the teachers? I will have to think on how to put in resources to retrain teachers that need to be retrained, and also employ the teeming number of people that are walking the street that want employment to teach. But we also have to emphasize science education. I lectured at Benue State University for 10 years, and right now in physics department we have about 14 people that are graduating, while in political science about 1,000 something people are graduating. Obviously, the physics students graduating will obviously get a job, if not teaching job or some other job, but the 1,000 pole science people may not get that. So we also have to re-emphasize science education. And one of the ways we intend to do that is to build special science school and also refurbish our laboratories in areas that we have government schools. Outside the primary schools, which I say we are going to invest 25% of our security vote to.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the
NCP.
NCP.
I still have some time.
Okay, you still have,
like
okay, go ahead. Okay, you stop.
I
That's
want to
why.
utilize all of
Go
that.
ahead, please.
It's all
Yes.
yours.
Yes.
And outside that, we are looking on how to get a scheme on how to get graduates running the streets on a contract basis for 2 years to work in these schools. And what we intend to do, we want to build special kind of special accommodation for them in most rural areas, because if you go to those places, you don't have people that want to teach in those places. So we'll create a...
All right, I think
Okay.
the time is
environment,
officially up now.
Thank
And
you
the
very
candidate-
much.
Because the candidate of the PRP is up now. And the thing I want to focus on is statistics show us that 50% of graduates from the Benue State University, and we have the record on ground, that are unemployable, not because they didn't graduate, because the foundation that was laid for them was not proper. There was no proper education for them. How do you handle this?
Okay, thank you very much. The first thing is that I hear of ghost workers or ghost teachers, but we also hear of ghost schools, which means much of the money that is generated to pay workers goes to work to ghosts and to ghost schools.
Where are these
So
people
how-
coming from the graves?
Well, that is what we have in our society.
So now, how would you
unfortunately.
even plug that?
And therefore, I'm saying that the first step is to develop a comprehensive database of our schools, so that we are sure that we have a school here and there and the other. So that if at the end of the month 10 million naira is meant for salaries, it will actually go to real people and not to imaginary human beings. Secondly, it is our thinking that we would like to encourage every school indeed, to establish an income generating kind of business, like farms or such other things. By this, we'll be able to complement government effort, increase the IGR, that is, generate more funds, and be able to cater for the staff and the students, and even build new schools, improve the standards and the facilities and all that goes into education. So it is something practical that schools will be encouraged to embark on practical projects that are able to bring in some kind of funds.
Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we will still stay with the issue of education for a brief moment, and then move on to a very, very important sector also. Stay with us. You're watching True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019.
Thank you very much for staying with us on TVC and every other channel or platform on which you're watching us this evening. We're on True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019, and we have 4 candidates running for the office of governorship in Benue State. And we have the APC, ABGA, NCP, PRP present here tonight. Before we went on break, Ngozi was talking about the issue of education. I don't know if you're done.
Yes, indeed. And now the question is a very direct question. Do you think free education, gentlemen, that free education is sustainable? There is a situation right now in Benue State where we hear that some secondary schools actually charge upwards of 30,000 naira for WAEC registration against the officially accepted 13,500 to register for WAEC.
So
The candidate of who spoke last? Let me start.
I spoke last.
Okay, let me begin with the candidate of the APC then.
And no interruptions.
1 minute, please.
No interruptions
Yes.
this time.
Thank you very
You
much.
have your full 1 minute.
Well, thank you. I believe that if we do all that is necessary and what we must do, which is first to block the loopholes and where people are stealing all of our commonwealth, I believe we're able to save enough resources so we can apply that in areas of social importance for our people. And I believe one of the things that we will do as an APC government, as I said, is to institutionalize the free education, and it is sustainable. But you can only do that, one, if you have the courage of your convictions, and also if you can actually go after much of the loot, not in terms of probing the past, but ensuring that in your time, under your watch, stealing is brought down to the barest minimum. And there are tools that are available for us to be able to do this. So I can give you my guarantees as an APC government that we're willing, we're ready, and we're courageous enough to make certain that anybody who plays with the resources, public resources, is never allowed to go free.
All right, thank you
those
very
resources.
much. Candidate of ABGA, is free education realistic? Is it sustainable? How will you ensure that children from primary to secondary school get free education without it costing the state in other areas like health, infrastructure, and others?
Yeah, free education, is it sustainable? Yes, it is sustainable. And if the leadership of the state, if you are not looking as a sitting governor, you are not, your ambition is not to be the richest ex-governor, then, and you plow all the resources as it should be, you will be able to sustain whatever projects that you are coming up with. You have federal allocation, you have internally generated revenue, you have small bits and pieces of tax here, payee from investors and all of that. You have grants. You channel them into what they should go. Then you will be able to sustain whatever you have started with. And like my colleague, Mr. Jime, said, block the leakages. Let people feel the pain of pilfering with government resources.
All right, thank you very much. NCP candidate.
Our party is a socialist party. It believes in egalitarian philosophy. And one of it is that primary education should be compulsory. You see, we are going to do that. Just as I say that...
Compulsory and free?
Yes, for primary school. Just as I say that we're going to put 25% of the security vote in education, we are also going to block leakages, like they said, using technology. But we need to actually know the number of students. And what we don't know, we can't really work on. That's why I re-emphasize data collection to actually know what we want to do, because we can't plan, we can't do budgeting without adequately knowing who and who is a student and all that. And that is the process that we can block leakages using the technology I have said we're going to use. Aside that, we are going to do free primary education. At the secondary level, I don't know, unless we have the necessary data.
All right,
Okay.
the PRP candidate, would you like to speak into that?
Yes, thank you very much. I don't think free education is feasible because human beings have a tendency to abuse whatever is free. When people pay, they place more value on that which they are paying for. In my opinion, education cannot be free. However,
Even though it's not an entirely popular stance.
it's not. Well, I don't think that there is a need to talk about free education. People need to pay. However, the environment need to be made workable. When the environment and the systems are working, nobody will even think of free education because people will have what it takes to pay, and they will have sufficient enough, and they'll derive joy from paying because the services are rendered to them. In my opinion, free education is not feasible. However, government can complement the payment of school fees by registering for examinations and such other things that go with education.
Very well. Having said that, I need to take you up a little further because, as you said, education is a foundation. When you talk about leaders for tomorrow, all of you that are standing on the podium here have one level of education or the other. We're sitting here because we have some level of education, so it gives a platform. Now, when you say, and I'm addressing the PRP candidate,
Sure.
that there's no room for free education, you look at the old woman in the village who cannot even afford a square meal a day and has an intelligent son who cannot go to school. What's your take on that?
I said before,
And in addition to that, sorry to cut you before
Yeah.
we allow you to answer, there are 20,000 children out of school in Benue State,
Yes.
an additional 16,000 in IDP camps.
So having
Just to
in
have
mind,
that background.
so is free education the solution? Certainly not.
what would be
My
the solution?
argument is that if the systems work well, if salaries are being paid, if the entire society is enjoying the dividends of good governance, nobody will even talk about free education because we will all be enabled to pay for whatever services that are being rendered to us. So I think that the old woman in the village will also have to rely on good governance so that her son in the town or neighbors or the society generally, has capacity to take care of vulnerable people and address such issues that require attention. This is the practice anywhere in the world.
All right, the NCP candidate.
Yes, we celebrate Awolowo today. I would say that Southwesterners are the most educated ethnic group in Nigeria because of free education. So that is a lasting legacy you can give to someone. Not money, not even employment. Because a well-educated person can live without even government. Education with skills. And I believe free education is possible for primary, at least for primary level.
APGA candidate, between quality and quantity when it comes to education, which would you choose?
Quality.
And how would you achieve it if education is free?
You will achieve it by ensuring that those who are saddled with the responsibility of teaching these children are properly catered for, and the Ministry of Education, through the various supervisory levels, ensure that they supervise There are educational supervisors who are and inspectors who are supposed to go round schools checking standard, quality, environment, hygiene, and all of that. That must be put in place. So with that, you have no issues with quality.
All right, the candidate of the APC, 20,000 out of school children, like I said earlier, and 16,000 in IDP camps in Benue State alone. How will you get these children back to school?
Well, I believe there is a connection, to the ability to get our children back to school and also restoring security and stability in our villages. So in a sense, I guess it's the chicken and the egg sort of question. We need to have to work on our security to stabilize our environment. Once that happens, our people will be very happy to go back. But let me quickly mention again the politicization of this law I've spoken about. This crisis we're talking about recently took place in Nasarawa State the same as it took place in Benue. All the IDPs in Nasarawa State have gone home. The ones in Benue State are still here.
Why do you think so? Why is it so?
That is the politicization I've been referring to.
By whom now?
Well,
maybe
by whoever it is that believes that it benefits them to keep our people in the IDP camps.
Well, okay, before we dabble into the issue of name calling and all of that, let's leave it at that and take it to another level.
Yes.
Now, this question goes to all of you, and it's a very important question. Governments have come and gone. All candidates come out and make promises. They're elected into power. They become governors, and for 4 or 8 years, people keep complaining of the same things over and over and over again. We trust you, and then you fail us. We trust you, and you fail us. How? Why should the people of Benue State trust you with their mandate and hope that you do not fail them for the next 4 years? You have 2 minutes to answer that. APC can.
So once again, I commend this platform. These are the kinds of platforms that we didn't have in the past. We need to interrogate the content, the character, and the quality of those who seek to lead us. The leadership recruitment processes in our country, in our state, has failed us to the extent that you've got people running for offices who do not even know the job description of the offices they're running for. So I think that going forward, and this sort of platform that we have allows our people to interrogate the leadership that comes. Once you get it right from the recruitment process, you are going to have a leadership that is responsive to the needs of the people. That's what we've been lacking. I think that Benue State is going to get it right this time because we've given them an opportunity and this platform. Sorry, some guys just simply didn't want to take this chance to be here today, which means that they probably had nothing to come and say to the Benue people.
Now, the question is very simple. How are you going to do things differently?
As I said, first, it is the leadership recruitment processes that brings up people with quality.
So you think you're the right candidate?
In my case, I have a record of performance in all of the public offices I've been holding. I'm running on my records. And this is the first time a man is running for governor from outside who is running on his records, and you have the incumbent not running on any record. I mean, that is really an ironical sort of environment that we're dealing with here.
Very well. Can we go to the... You're not done with him yet.
Let me move on to the candidate of ABGA, and I want to ask the same question, really. Do you think you have the character, the content, and the quality that is required to actually govern the people of Benue State for the next 4 years?
Yes, I do. I have worked in the private sector all my life, and I am sure it is much difficult for you to work in the private sector and not be penalized if found wanting than in the public sector. So everywhere I have worked, I have maintained a clean slate, and so I am riding on that. In addition to that, we need leaders who are ready and willing to think outside the box. And I am going to be a leader that will lead from the front. If I say, do not come late to work, work starts at 8 o'clock, then it is expected that at 8 o'clock, I should be at my desk and not at 10 o'clock because I am a leader. I am the leader that will lead from the front, not in the middle or from the back.
All right,
Okay.
let's go to the candidate of the NCP. Usually, people say that the two candidates have talked about working in the private sector and all of that. But I hear people say, I'm not a politician, I'm just a broadcaster.
Same here.
But people say when you get into that office, it becomes a different ball game entirely.
Especially, Solomon, when it has to do with handling the cabal,
Yes.
who
The
breathe
cabal,
down
yeah.
your throat and say, this is how we want it, this is how it should be done.
So how
will
are you
handle
going
it?
to be different?
By Kaba, you mean Godfather.
I wouldn't know what you call them.
Well, I have the Godfather and God the Father and the people. I am an accidental politician. I am an activist. I've been an activist all my life. I have taught in the university for 10 years. I traveled in the United Kingdom. I studied computer science, graduated in software development with a distinction and a PhD in computing within 2 years, 6 months. There's very few people attain that record in the UK. I have the capacity to lead. I have shown that, and I've shown that in character. I've led protests against a subsidy removal in 2012 in London. And in my interview in Al Jazeera and BBC, I clearly say that the masses stand tall in every policy. So I have what they can believe in me, because I have been an activist that look up to people like Thomas Sankara, people like Lumumba, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Stephen Biko, and people that have great minds to help the people. So the people know me, and one of my greatest credentials, a part of my brilliance, is my character, which I hold in high esteem.
All right, let's allow the candidate of the PRP to tell us what he's bringing to the table. If the people of Benue trust you enough to lead them for the next 4 years.
Okay,
I would like you to respond to that before we go on a quick break.
Okay, thank you very much. I come from the church, and by virtue of my training, I've lived to serve God and humanity. And this is my motivation for governance. And secondly, I have an orientation of faithfulness to duty and transparency, as well as accountability. These are values that I intend to bring to governance. I have lived in Benue for the past 35 years or a little more, and I have followed the trajectory of development of Benue. I have observed the rise and the fall of Benue. I have made significant observations of the people that have entered government both before and during and even after. I have looked at their lives and their antecedents and their failures and of course their successes. I have learned so much from this, and I've established that one particular issue that has been lacking in governance and in politics generally is this issue of transparency.
I'm glad you mentioned the issue of transparency. I would ask a question to all of you gentlemen. Benue State in 2016 got 73 billion naira from the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. If you have all of this money at your disposal, will you lose your head as a governor of Benue State? You will answer that question.
Your head, not cut them off.
Not cut your head off.
I mean, will you just lose track of
Absolutely.
what you're supposed to do for the people?
Well,
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll allow you to respond to those questions.
All right, you're still watching True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019. And my name is Solomon Yopeva. I've been hanging out this evening with...
Ngozi Alebu.
You should have allowed me to call your name.
Oh, okay.
Well.
All right, I should have allowed you.
Having said that, before we went on break, you asked them a very pertinent question.
Yes, so the question of character. Benue State in 2016, I'm just giving you an example, got 73 billion naira from the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee. Now, when you have this amount of money at your disposal, will you lose your head? Let me begin with the candidate of the PRP.
Okay, thank you very much once again. It is people without content, people who are empty, that will be destabilized when they see huge volumes of money. I have content. I have a spiritual content as well. Like you asked before, for me, it's not about God Father, but about God the Father. And my allegiance is to God and to humanity. So money cannot destabilize me or throw me off balance because I have content, I have a vision. Whatever money that I get is to actualize that vision rather than blow out my head and lose focus. Once a man gets into office without a clearly defined focus, anything goes. Whatever volume of money that comes can just throw up that man off his balance. So I have already taken care of such issues and ideas, and thanks be to God, I have seen money before. Because in church too, there is money. Most of you here do offerings and pay your tithes in church. So we have seen money. I have never touched a single penny that belongs to the church.
Thank you very much. NCP candidate, you have 1 minute to tell us how you will handle the huge sums of money that come in, whether it's IGR, the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, and all other funds that will come in that will be right at your disposal. How will you handle it?
Contesting under a party of National Conscience Party should tell you something. It's a party founded by Chief Gani Fawami, and we all know about him. He stood for integrity, he stood for the people, he stood for the masses. So if you don't have that ideology or that philosophy, you can't be in this party. So for the first part of it, in terms of transparent, I think that is check, I have that. In terms of character, I have that, and the people know about that. And in terms of intellectual power, I think I also have that. Money, if you're using money to develop the people, you will not even see it in your hands because the money should be in a point of development. Because we are looking at turning Benue State into a construction site when we come in. Because with that, you can actually give employment and you can also put money in circulation. So no money will be in your hand for you to be tempted to steal.
The candidate of ABGA.
Yes, now what I want to ask him, he's quite a young man. And what the tendency, what I hear from the elders say is that young men want to amass wealth for themselves so that they can become the big boys of tomorrow and the godfathers and the ones to be referred to. Now, as Ngozi asked earlier, would you lose your head if you had all these billions coming in for your control?
A good name is better than all the riches in this world. Today I'm contesting to be the next governor of Benue State because I have seen a lot of despair, a lot of tears in the eyes of my fathers, my mothers, my brothers and sisters. I, John Ondumbatseyo, want to be remembered as that young man who came and brought smiles to the faces of the people. Money will not deceive me.
Because when the candidate of the APC was talking earlier,
yes,
he said something about stealing our commonwealth. And that's what we want to focus on now as we ask you that question. How do you stop people from stealing our commonwealth and money not being an issue, to be amassed by yourself?
Are you guaranteeing that you'll remain incorruptible?
Good question.
So I've had the opportunity and the privilege of serving this nation in different public offices and in public spaces. As chairman of the House Committee on the on the Federal Capital Territory in my time as member of the House, I presided over a budget of over 300 billion every year. As managing director of the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, I was managing 50 billion every year. I don't get fazed by money.
All right,
Okay.
Ngozi, we're going to wrap it up now.
Yes, indeed.
But we're going to do something very unique, except if you have something else.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure people would like to hear them make their closing remarks in their native language.
But on the condition that you understand what they say.
I will try.
Very well. So I'm going to start with you. That's Reverend Frederick Ika. You're going to address your people in 1 minute in your native language and tell them in 1 minute why they should trust you with their mandate.
My native language.
Yes.
So nechi mo shima verin yam shawlon gom na yaka soronta ta wasu va vi bishi nechi ne fakwana nguvan ko va kirin va vara nyarega shin va ma ko gane posuga ko va nere nega ko va kame kamotun ne kwa fanshin tanega ba ka ko hoyo mba bulu asema amu nyongo bulu an ka shakwa ta soron ngisa periku bayan va sota na ha bengise fada Moses Adasu ba va sota kape mom so da ton janke menjera mso nechi.
Ngozi,
Thank
I
you
saw
very much.
looking at me, but I think what he said was he wants to marry you at the end of this talk. The NCP candidate.
He came too late to the party.
What do you have to say in Tiv language?
So lechi mongo gomo tile show governor me hangemga sarema sa osoronta angbane ase ba ya chan kpishi ba ha ga hingeri ya gudangu ha ga ya chan kpishi na ham tile show ne me la hangemga ba sare osoronta alune rumu ya sumo na nane vote wene ki shange sati oluvane so ne kpishi.
You heard one part of it.
Yes.
You heard the vote part of it.
I heard the vote. Thank you very much, candidate of the NCP.
Yes.
Abga candidate, you want to speak to your people in your language? Speak to the Benue people.
In 1 minute.
In 1 minute, please.
Choyambe nuem sunechi. Tiv olmio kwae shagba du kashinya. Na ha mzamleve ne lumo ya masi juave. Shagba wosu elu hinya la masi de masi dun. Na masi ye shagba la masi sota Benue. Si vamli amakuma. Si esine yo yesim liang. Msunechi.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the APC, a last word from you in your native tongue.
He's smiling very wide.
Choyam Benue. Msune. Nya pon nasya. Sijua ya vanilla mnave. Sa toka. Sa okiri mzeheme utane. Mzameleve menelu moyo. Yangi sati manidu lulu mandra ham shange chai bela sike mzeheme ma bem pomne de hitane yo sunachi bemelu.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You know the beauty of African languages, you tend to identify with one word. One word just jumps at you from everything they have said.
But you see the thing
That sounds Igbo.
Yeah, you see, that's what I was trying to say. If you can interpret what the APC candidate said in just 30 seconds, it's going to make you his special advisor on media.
Oh,
Just
you
say what
just
he
gave
said.
me a job in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you do that?
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate hearing from you. I'm sure the people of Benue State are able to make up their minds on which of you to vote for come March 9. Thank you so much for conducting yourselves in very, very civil manner this evening. In spite of Solomon trying to, hand me over to one of you gentlemen.
Very well. It's been our viewers. We've been on True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019. We'd like to thank you, Emmanuel Jime of the APC. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Frederick Ikang of the PRP. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you, Philip Akuma of the NCP. Stephen Akuma for coming on the program. We really appreciate you. And of course, the ABGA candidate, John Seyo. We are really very grateful to you for making our time to come. I'm sure by now the Benue people have information of how they can be guided in making their decisions come Saturday.
Indeed. Thank you very much one more time.
Thank you.
And God bless the people of Benue. God bless Nigeria. I am Ngozi Alibu signing out from True Talk Benue Gubernatorial Debate 2019.
My name is Solomon Yope. Thank you very much for being a part of it. The good Lord bless you all.
Sell your vote, just sell your future, sell your birthright. How much divide them by 4 years?